We're live. I'm just going to play an introduction video. All right, we are live. Welcome everyone to this new episode of Women's Empowerment Series. I am so honored and it's welcoming Jessica Tomac today. We're going to talk about finance. We're going to talk about how to best invest your money, how to make money, and we're going to talk about what is happening in the financial world today. Welcome, Jessica. It's such an honor to have you.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me to be on your program today. I really look forward to this.
Wonderful. So, Women's Empowerment Series is a show that, this is 49. So, she actually have amazing female leaders who are doing great impact, like your work, and who are helping others with a passion and with excellence. And so, the objective is really to present, inspire, to have different people seeing what's possible, and also sharing value about the work you do and about what motivates you to be such a beautiful and a leader in the financial field. So nice. So I'm gonna
Okay.
let you introduce yourself, Jessica. So tell us about you and your work.
Yeah, so I started as a financial advisor about 10 years ago and really felt like women weren't being served. I had several financial advisors prior to becoming one. And what I was running into is if I would ask questions, I felt like they would act like I wasn't smart, or I would want some coaching on understanding, hey, what's the next thing I should be working on? And they didn't really want to do that. And after several times, I would ask a question. They would, answer my husband, whatever the scenario was. I kept firing them and finally got so frustrated that I thought, I'm going to go and do this myself, and I'm going to make it a passion of mine to help and serve women and business owners to be successful and empowered with their finances. So that is how I got into the industry.
Amazing. That I like that. I mean, isn't it interesting because we all have a motivation that is why they didn't let us be, or why they thought it was too complicated, or they didn't value your voice and your ideas as a woman.
Mhm.
And you, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was amazing. And in this journey of just being able to help people wherever they're at, they might just be trying to get out of debt or building wealth or understanding once they've created wealth what those next steps are, has been super impactful and rewarding.
So do you work mostly with women, but or also men in the?
So I work with both, but my joke is when married couples work with me, I always laugh and I tell them first and foremost, I'm all about girl power. And I don't hide that at all. So I've,
Really?
I've had guys that came in and they said, oh, I know you only work with women. And I said, well, that's not true, but I will always be an advocate for the woman. So
Of course.
in my office, their names are first. I ask them questions first, like they are the priority.
Mhm.
And I've actually had to fire clients because the husband was like, oh, I'm going to spend all this money. And I said, you're going to leave your wife broke. And he's like, so what? I don't care. And that's not okay. Not okay at my
It's
office.
not okay. I love that. So you actually, you building a legacy on how to actually keep women feeling valued within the wealth management in their family. I think that's so powerful. Wow. Amazing. So how do you do that? I mean, like, what's the best advice? Is it, do people come with their money and they come and ask you, is like, okay, what's the best way for me to invest? Where do I put money aside? How many do I put aside? And in what type of assets do I invest? Is that
Yeah. So it's all different based on kind of where you're at. Like I mentioned before, some people are just in a spot they don't have their emergency fund and they're not even sure where to start. So we just do some coaching and telling them, hey, here's what I need you to do. I can help you do it. I can help monitor that for you. But it's really a coach kind of working them through some steps. Other folks are in a position where they've created some wealth and they're asking, are these the right investments? What do they even mean? What I find is oftentimes people don't even know what their money is in, And if it's in the right stuff based on their comfort level with risk, you know, working with women, for us, a lot of women feel like financial security comes with some cash in the bank, right?
Yeah,
And so,
that's intuitively what we think it should
yeah,
be. It's true.
yeah, right. And so what I was finding is male financial advisors might think, oh, you have to invest everything. Well, that doesn't bring you security, right? But knowing that you have a year's worth of your income and you have safety in those things, and really understanding what it is that you need is so important before you just say, oh, these are your investments. If they don't know what your goals are, if they don't understand what's important to you,
Mm.
you can't make those financial plans.
Mm. So what is your advice? So when you think, people always, we worry about, we want to feel safe, we want to feel free, but also secure in the same time, but also spend the money.
Yeah.
How do you create that equation that works? Because it's complicated.
Yeah, and it really is that balance of trade-offs, right? Like
Mm.
if I have a ton of fun right now and live only for today, I have nothing for tomorrow.
Oh yeah, and you can
And
spend as much as millions. That's so true. I like that.
exactly. And and what I tell people is budgets don't mean bread and water. So many people feel like, oh, if I have to be on a budget, I'm broke. That is not the case. It is you telling your money where to go versus wondering where it went. And it will leave if you don't have a plan for it. Right?
Very nicely said. I love the image.
So I think
Mm.
if you think about just very basic security and creating financial security for folks, it starts with if you are the single provider in your home,
Mhm.
then I personally want you to have 6 to 12 months of your living expenses in cash.
Okay,
Okay,
that's important. So first advice is 6 to 12 months of living expenses in cash.
in
Okay,
cash
not even in small deposit, cash in your checking accounts.
in your checking savings account. Yes.
So checking savings.
Yep.
Okay.
And I
Ah,
don't care if it's not making any interest. It literally is your emergency fund that if something happens,
okay.
if you have two incomes in your home, you can
Yes.
have 3 to 6 months versus the
Okay.
higher amount. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Because
If
both the wife and the husband or the partners will keep their money for 3 to 6 months, so it's doubled. Okay.
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
and there's two income streams. So if even if one person loses their job, the other person likely still has a job. So you only need
Less
half
risk.
as
Mhm.
much, right,
So
to
less
pay the
risk.
bills.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
So after, as a single provider,
Mhm.
once you have your 6 to 12 months, then the next 6 months up to 12, depending on how much security you want, you can do in those certificates of deposit or CDs.
Mhm.
Those should be FDIC insured, so you can't lose your money. You're going to get a guaranteed interest rate. And then after that is when I suggest folks start investing.
Okay. So you need to keep another 6 to 12 months handy, basically, not too
Yes,
far away.
accessible.
Ah,
Mm-hmm.
nice. Okay. Well, that's something very useful to know. And you do that for personal finance, or you do that also for professional in a company? Is it the
Oh,
same or is it different?
yeah. So I do it for personal and I do it for businesses.
Businesses as well. So it's 6 to 12 cash and 6 to 12 ready to unlock
Yes.
invest. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Savings. Then you start investing.
Yes.
Mm. And
So, and really making sure if you have a lot of entrepreneurs, they're always reinvesting in their business, right? The retirement strategy is always their business. And
mm,
sometimes they become so personally involved in their business and they think it's overvalued. So, really taking, when you look at your business planning, and making sure you're taking whether that's 10% or some piece of it and
mhm,
setting aside for your retirement. There's tax efficient strategies to use
okay.
that really are beneficial as
Mhm.
business owners, and then things that you should be doing on the personal side as well.
So this is a very beautiful because and simple, right? People can really apply it. But do you think people do that? They apply that?
I think they don't think about it,
No,
right?
no one does.
Um,
Yes.
and oftentimes they may have great income and not be saving anything because
Yes.
they just know, oh, there's money in the bank and they spend it, but there's no
Oh,
plan for the future or protection or any of
yes.
those things.
That's so true. And Millie, things are expensive, and more you get more money, more you spend more. Because
Yes.
then the watch you used to buy is not the one you want now. You want to have another one, and the bag is another one, and they never finish.
That's right. We call it income creep, right? So if you were
Yes, it's that
making,
I like income creep. Yeah.
yeah, you might have been making $30,000 a year, and you were buying things that cost $100, and that was like, oh, you were thinking about it. Then you make 100,000, and you're not thinking about $1,000 purchases. You're just doing it, and then as your income continues to increase, those quote unquote big purchases from back in the day are no longer even a blink of an eye. You're just spending money, right?
Yeah.
Which can be fine with a plan.
Okay, so you can increase your spending, but if you are
For
aware of the
sure.
6 to 12 months. Yeah.
Right. Well, the 6 to 12 months, the saving for your future and other
Saving.
goals, whether it's your kids' college or
Mm,
whatever that looks like.
mm.
If you want a retirement home or if you want a place somewhere, I live in Michigan and it's cold. So maybe you want a different place to go in the winter for a few
Yeah.
months,
Are you
right? So,
considering that? Is that something you plan in your life also? Do you really
yes.
apply that to you? Because often we know how to advise, but do we do it?
Yeah. So in college, got myself into this situation where I had a bunch of credit card debt, right? Because they
Mm,
had this
like we
great
all did. Mm.
0% interest, 0%
Yes.
transfer
It
fees.
was fashionable in the 90s, wasn't it? It's like,
Yes. And it's happening again. If you look right
is it
now,
really?
people are getting all kinds of 0% interest and 0% transfer fees because they know the credit card companies know people aren't paying their bills and they're going to take advantage of this. But then they're not going to pay those off either, and
And
they're going
the
to
and
have
the interest will go up.
32% interest,
What? Yeah.
right? So I have did the debt snowball. I got myself out of debt. I did work 2 full-time jobs to pay off my college. I
Well done.
do a budget, and each year, the budget is different, right? It allows for me, in the beginning, it was a big deal to spend anything, and now we put money in for travel. We put money in, and it's
Mm,
okay to have nice trips and to do great things
of
as
course.
long as you have a financial plan for. Yeah, I gave myself. If you put in $15,000 for whatever, don't spend 45, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And that's what we tend to do because you're
yeah,
like, that's okay.
or
Next year
they
I
don't.
want more. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't even realize. They're like, oh, I took 6 vacations this year. Okay, that's
What?
great, but you told me you were going to spend $10,000 this year. 6 vacations cost you way more than $10,000.
Yeah. So it's not, it's like and there is a lot of coaching. You mentioned that in the beginning, because there is a story that we have with money. And I think managing your finance is rewriting your money story and healing some of
Yeah,
the upset
for
because,
sure.
yeah, yeah.
And people's behaviors are impacted based on their history with
Mm.
money and
Ye-
finances.
Oh,
Um,
yes. Oh,
so
yes.
I grew up and my parents didn't have a lot of money. They were young parents and they lived
Mhm.
paycheck to paycheck and it was hard. And I knew growing up I didn't want to be worried about, oh my word, can we pay this bill? Can we afford
Mm.
this?
Mm.
And then I found myself going down those same behavior and I was like, oh, I
Because
have
it's
to
because
stop.
it's habitual, because
Yeah,
that's how you were programmed. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. But then you woke up and you're like, okay, this is not what I want.
right.
Yeah,
And
and you
it
use the
was
tools.
amazing, right? It's so much more financially freeing to not have that burden about your
Mm.
finances and know that even if I lost my job today, I could,
I'll
for
be
12
okay.
months,
I'll
not
be
have
okay.
an income, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's very true. But it is freeing. It's but how easy is is it to do that? It's not that easy.
It's not hard,
Okay.
right? But
Mm.
it takes discipline.
It takes discipline. And I like you mentioned the snowball about the debt. Maybe you can say a few words for whoever is watching what it means.
Yeah, so there's two different ways to attack your debt snowball.
Yeah.
I prefer to take, you take all of your debt, let's just say you have 20 different pieces of debt, and you put them in your balance order with the smallest balance at the bottom and your
Uh-huh.
highest balance at the top.
Uh-huh.
And then you do a minimum payment with all of your items except the very bottom one. And then with your bottom one, you're applying as much as you can every pay period to that debt.
Mm.
Okay.
Okay.
The other way to look at it is to take your interest rates of each of those debts and with your balances, and then you start at the highest interest rate and work your way down.
Yeah.
I find people get more excited. People don't enjoy this tip I give them, but I tell them to put it on the front of your refrigerator and list
Mm.
it with your balance that you owe, and then cross it off when you
Yeah, that
pay
feels
for
good.
it.
That feels real good.
And when you
Oh
can
yeah.
start to see movement on those,
Oh
you're
yeah.
like, this is working. Because what I find, if you start with the big one, it takes
Yeah.
a long time to get rid of it. You get discouraged. You don't want to do it. You think it doesn't work. It always works.
Yeah.
But in the I deserve this attitude that many folks have, I want it now, right? They want these huge homes that their parents have taken 50 years to get, and they want it in their 20s.
Yes.
You have to have a plan for this stuff.
That's true. That's true. And I like what you're saying, because what's rewarding is when you see yourself starting to cross things. It feels like, oh my God, even one step is good. But what is it? But if you put that in front of your fridge, for example, don't you stay focused on that, and it kind of makes you feel bad and miserable? How do you balance that? Because you
No,
know,
I think those things that you focus on stay
yeah.
top of mind and you will be successful. So
Okay.
if your business is fixing cars and you're always thinking about fixing cars, great. You're looking for how can you help that next person. Your finances are the same. When you decide that debt is on the front of your refrigerator and you want to go out and grab some fast food because you don't feel like making dinner, and you look at that and you think,
You're like,
no, I've got some
maybe
stuff.
not. Ah, yes.
Right.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's like you tighten your budget by remembering it.
Yeah. I think it just stays top of mind. I find if you do a budget on the computer or on your phone and you never look at it, you will never know if you're successful or not.
It's true, because when we do all this Excel, we usually just leave them there. Maybe you look at them once a month
Right.
eventually. Yeah.
Yeah. And especially when people do budgets on their phones, it tells them they went over, but after it's already too late. Like
Yeah.
they didn't change their behavior when they saw they were going to run out, they just went over.
So, how do you help them? Would you tell someone to do the budget halfway through the month or something?
Yeah, so what happens with some folks, depending on the level of help they want, we actually take their entire paycheck and then we send them, we call it an allowance, sounds terrible, but we send them money weekly so they can't overspend. If they don't have the cash, they don't have it to spend. Now, some
Wow.
folks
So
have
you
that
actually
level.
take over their finance.
Yeah,
That's incredible. I didn't know you did it this way. So
yeah,
you're like, okay, you don't have to worry about money. I'm the one giving you what you use. It's
right.
like you give them stipends, or like,
Yeah,
pocket money.
exactly. It's we joke and say I'm gonna give you an allowance,
It is an allowance. It is,
right?
right?
Yeah,
Incredible. And then you pay what they need to pay, and you pay off the debt and whatever they need to do.
yeah. And
Yeah.
so then we say, okay, here's how you're paying down the debt. And we keep making sure that because people with their budget, their problem isn't their cable bill and their cell phone bill. Those are pretty stationary bills, right? Those are very predictable. It's the dining out and the groceries and the
Yes.
gas. It's all of
Yes.
those things that are behavior based,
Yeah.
that if we can give them, here's how much you can spend, right? And we're all agreeing ahead of time what that number is. They're choosing based on how fast they want to pay off their debt. I have a young couple, they got married and they had a $30,000 truck payment at 29% interest.
Wow.
And then some other debt, well over 30% interest on those. We were able to do a consolidation. They're going to have all of their debt paid off in 1 year. And then the following year, they'll have money for their down payment of a house, right?
Wow. That's
But
fast.
they would never have any of that experience if they didn't have somebody really helping them.
Yeah. And somebody who waking them up, because you don't see these things this way. You just see, oh, I was able to get this, I was able to get this. We don't see the behind the scenes.
Right.
Yeah. So whoever would like to really get some help from you, maybe you can drop their, how do they connect with you so that I can
Yep.
drop the link? Yeah.
So you can go to edwardjones.com/Jessica-Tomac,
Mhm,
Tomac,
mhm.
and that will allow you to send me a message directly to
Nice.
me. You can
Yeah.
also go to the Facebook page, the LinkedIn page, and send me a message, and myself
Okay.
or my
I will
staff
tag
will
you
get
on
back.
this so that if you're watching us or watching replay, you can meet Jessica Tomac. I think we all need that to be able to have somebody who look at our finance, because we get scared ourselves. Like, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see what I'm doing. You just spend. You're like, I don't want to see it. So you like kind of hide it. Yeah.
Well, and I also find that sometimes when you're in the eye of the storm yourself,
Yeah.
it's not easy to see. As an outsider, it's not emotional, it's not personal.
Yes.
Here's the stuff. Yeah, here's your next steps. You decide if you do it or not.
Yeah. Yeah. And, but then probably people feel embarrassed, right? To share their mess in how they manage finances.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we try to make it super comfortable. So I
Okay.
don't think people
So
feel
no
bad about
embarrassment.
sharing. Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, this is good to know. And I think you've shared already so many advices. And I think mainly for women, I think it's really important to be intentional about how you spend your money and how you put money aside so that you can, any woman can reach freedom very fast. I think
Right.
that's feeling free financially. It's a whole different way of walking, isn't it? It's
It
like
is. Yeah. You will sleep better. You will feel better.
you will
And
look
then
better.
you will look better. And as you build up wealth,
Yeah.
you will know that you will have a paycheck without ever going to work based on what you're doing. And that feels
Wow.
really good.
Oh, yes. That's kind of really creating your own retirement without needing to retire from your life, because your life is fabulous and you
Yes.
just can be that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's incredible. This is, I want to also to ask you something about what's happening in the news. We all read every morning the bank has crashed. It's scary, right? And some people saying the best way to keep money today is just to keep it cash in your house. So, what are your thoughts about what's happening in the financial sphere?
Yeah.
And
So yes, I agree. The bank stuff is scary, especially from the outsider who maybe doesn't know how all the ins and outs work. But there is still opportunity. If you are buying certificates of deposit or CDs that are FDIC insured, that has a guaranteed interest rate. Even if the bank did go bankrupt, you would get your money out of those. That's what the whole FDIC insured means.
Mhm.
So you should not be fearful in regards to that. Some of the banks that are struggling, there is going to be a ripple effect. They were, venture capitalist banks, so they loaned money to businesses that weren't really businesses yet, right? So there's a lot more risk. So I would tell you, don't be fearful. Think about also investing. The stock market has been down. And if you think about it from this perspective, everyone says, oh, I'm losing money. You're not losing money, right? You're buying stuff on sale. And if I told you I've got these great shoes and you can buy full price or you could buy half off,
You get the
everyone
half
would
off.
tell me half off.
Oh,
But yet
yeah.
when I tell you the stock market's half off, everyone's like, no, I don't want to do it, right? It's the same thing. Wealth is created by purchasing things on sale. So don't
Mm.
be afraid of this as an opportunity as long as your emergency fund is fully funded.
Ah, yes. Oh, yes. Because well, investing in stock, then nothing guarantee that, the companies won't go down unless you invest in big companies that have been here forever, that
Right.
have, yeah, long-term perspective of still being around. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you
And go ahead.
I was going to ask if you advise about investing in the stock market within, like in what category? Is it in the 6 12 month cash, in the second one, or is like when you start investing?
So
Probably.
you will invest in the stock market after you have your full emergency fund completed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then you can start. And you're
Yeah.
doing well? I mean, how do you in your, how do you monitor that?
So we typically have folks start with their retirement account, so they may have
Mm.
some type of company match. So obviously we want to take care of any free money first. If they have to do it all on their own because they're entrepreneurs, there are things that ways that you can do deposits into retirement accounts that make it a business expense.
Mhm.
So those are all the avenues that we're going to utilize first before we then invest just in a individual account or a joint account that allows you to take that money out for maybe that house before you retire or those other financial goals you're trying to reach.
Mm. Wow, isn't that fascinating? I think finance is such a fascinating word. So much. You probably need to be on top of all the news all the time. How do you like that? What excites you about that field, Jessica?
Yeah. I think I'm most excited, and many of my clients, I'm now working with three generations,
Uh-huh.
right? So for me, it's most exciting when we have someone who we can get them to retirement and we say, okay, now we need you to spend more money. Like you're not spending enough. Uh, hey, you've always said Alaska was on your bucket list. Let's get that trip booked and get that to a trip to
Mm.
Alaska because now you've done it, right? And I
Yeah.
think seeing the people do the hard work and being successful with it is just such a rewarding piece. I say I haven't worked a day since I've started my career at Edward Jones because I work a lot of hours, but I just love what I do so much that it doesn't feel like work.
I love that. Yeah, that's beautiful because you really care about your clients, actually,
Yeah.
about their life, about them enjoying their time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Life
Yeah.
doesn't give us a do-over, right? We've got to get it right. And
Mm.
even if you start late, it's not too late. I tell folks this, it's only too late when you're dead, right? We can't fix
Mm.
anything then.
So what's in your dream bucket in you when you like what is for you? What are you gonna do this year? What trip will you be planning, Jessica?
So I am taking my kids to Florence, Italy. Uh,
Nice.
yep. So we
Ah.
leave in 2 weeks. My son's a
Oh.
senior in college or a senior in high school. He's headed off to college. So I told him he could pick anywhere he wanted to go, and that's
Nice,
what we would do.
nice.
So
Congratulations. That's beautiful.
yeah.
Oh,
So
next
again,
time, next time, plan it here to Morocco.
there you go. I'm
In
going to
Italy.
have to figure out how to get Morocco on my list
Yeah, definitely. That's
in
one of the
next
things.
year's budget because this one's already done.
That's okay. Next year, it's
That's
all
right.
good. That's what planning is for. That's
Yes.
amazing. Yeah. Yeah, beautiful. Well, thank you so much for your beautiful exchange and for all the value that you provided to who everyone is listening. I mean, to me as well. I think there are many things that we take for granted or we ignore. We're like, maybe later I'll take care of them, but you really need to get yourself structured and planned very early on if you want to be on top of your finance. So, what will be a last advice you can share with our viewers today?
Start soon. Don't keep saying I'm going to do this next month or next year. Make it a priority. Take one small step. That's how my joke is, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. You need to
Mm.
do one little thing and it will start to change all of your financial trajectory.
I love that. And is it the like what do they start with first? Is it the debt snow probably?
$1,000 in your bank first for everybody,
Mhm.
$1,000, and then paying down your debt.
$1,000 in the bank. I like that. That's a good number.
Yeah,
Easy,
easy.
easy,
Yeah,
and it compounds because 1,000 would be 10, would be 100
right.
straight, but
Yep,
no zero. Start with one thing. I love
just
that.
one thing.
Very nice. This is beautiful. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you so much for gracefully giving us all this beautiful advice about how to manage finance and make it sound easy. That's what I love about our conversation. You make it sound like
Yeah. It
easy.
doesn't have to be complicated and it doesn't have to be scary.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be scary. It has to be enjoyable. It's like you plan whatever you put aside and nice trip. It's always nice to do
That's right.
that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being with me today.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me. I've appreciated our time together.
Me too, very much so. Okay, bye bye,
Bye
everyone.
bye.
Bye.